My name's Hillary Drum. I'm one of the co-chairs, along with Tom Kennefic of the Sustainability Committee in town. Please forgive the costume. I just came from Beecher's Halloween hoot. I don't normally dress like this. So we just want to give an update about what you can do in town as part of Connecticut and part of Woodbridge to be part of different energy programs. We have our own local expert here, Diana, who is going to present all the wonderful things that she knows and can get us involved with to save money, save energy, and save the planet. All right, thanks so much.
Good job. Thank you. Okay, so a couple housekeeping items. Feel free to raise your hand and ask a question as it comes up. If it's going to be question after question after question, hold it till the end. But if it's something that you really want to chat about, do that. If you have a cell phone, just put it on silent or vibrate so that I don't get distracted like squirrel. So I'll lose my train of thought easily. All right, my name is Diana McCarthy-Burcury, and I am a Woodbridge resident, Amity grad 2000. I, after school, went on to study theater and to have a BFA in theater performance, which is why I can stand up here comfortably and pretend it doesn't bother me. And then I went on to study something really near and dear to my heart was sustainability, and I got to learn all about energy and climate and systems. I did that at the same time I was working for the local utility company. I worked there for many years running energy education programs, K through 12 education, workforce development, and community engagement programs. So I got to work with Woodbridge and Bethany and all cities and towns across the state on achieving energy goals. And so I talked at many libraries and town hall meetings until midnight, and you name it. From then I went on, after I finished my master's degree, I started my own sustainability firm, where now I get to work internationally, and I focus a lot on workforce development. So as new technology is coming into the marketplace, we need a workforce behind it that is experienced and knows what they're doing. And I have the pleasure of working with all the Connecticut technical high schools, and we just won the contract for all the Pennsylvania high schools and technical high schools, and we're actually starting in Massachusetts as well. So Connecticut is ahead of the game here. I am an instructor for the Building Performance Institute. Anybody who works in weatherization has to get those certs. And I do some of the basic credentials along with my teammates who do deeper ones. I'm also an instructor for Connecticut Green Building Council for GPRO and US Green Building Council for the Leader in Energy and Environmental Design Green Associate, where we had 3 Amity graduates from the program this summer. 3 Amity, I think they are seniors or juniors now, who graduated with their lead cert. We're going to recognize them soon. And then I get to do some fun education programs called Project Learning Tree and Project WET, which is all about like water education for teachers and forest stewardship education for teachers. And then I get to serve with Hillary and Tom and Laura and others on the Sustainability Committee and the Conservation Commission in town. So just quickly around what I'm going to talk about is weatherization and what the opportunities are at your home and how you can get started and the benefits behind that, right? I'm not selling you on any company or another. Companies are pre-evaluated and determined and selected by the utility companies. However, I don't work for any of the utility companies, so I'm happy to tell you who I hired to do my stuff. But there are great companies out in the state of Connecticut. There are some that have been out there for many, many years doing great work, and there are some who have been out there for a year or two, and they do great work as well. So there's a very high caliber that they have to achieve to be a part of this program, and the utility company tracks them very closely on all of the energy audits that they do to make sure that they are doing good quality work, okay? The weatherization program is really like your gateway into sustainability, right? You go into that program first. What we call it in Connecticut is the Home Energy Solutions Program. And this changes from year to year. And now who in here has the privilege of paying an electric bill? Okay, so on your bill, there's a little line item that says public benefit charge. We all pay into the Energy Efficiency Fund in Connecticut, and that covers majority of the cost of this home energy solutions audit. So you can go online to their website, you can call 877-WISE-USE. I have the website up, I'll pull it up in a little while. But you can call them for $50. You can get a crew that comes out and will do an energy audit. It is a true evaluation of your home, of the appliances in your home, the insulation in your home, the air leaks in your home. And then they do some on-site treatment as long as there's not any health and safety barriers. Anybody know what a health and safety barrier would be in a home that would stop us from moving air around? Mold? Asbestos. Oh, I got a really educated group today. Normally I gotta give them all. So asbestos, mold, sometimes lead, and then if you have any fuel combustion in your house, you gotta make sure that we do a CAS test that, we're not gonna accidentally backdraft carbon monoxide into your house, right? We don't want any of that. So they do some safety inspection first, and then they start evaluating your house and how it uses and loses energy. This image here, which is totally blurry, and we're gonna blame it on the US EPA, it was on their website. This tells you the top 20 areas where air leaks all around an average house. So, Woodbridge residents, how many of you in the wintertime sit near a window and feel cold air coming in? Right? Yeah. Does anybody not have an air leak in their house? Unlikely. Everybody's got one, right?
Yeah.
There's somewhere in your house where you're feeling air move from the outside of your house in. And if you are leaking air, you are losing money. If you are leaking air, you are losing money, you are losing energy, right? Because what do we do in the wintertime to stay warm? We heat our houses, right? We run heating, right? So if you have air leaks all around your house, you are running your heating system over and over again, and a lot of that beautiful conditioned air is going outside through those leaks. It is also true in the summertime. If you are running your air conditioning unit to make your home nice and comfortable, right? Because we've had some of the hottest summers on record in the past few years. And even though we have a lot of tree coverage here, it still gets hot in Woodbridge. So even if you're conditioning your space, that cool air is leaking out to the outside, right? Anybody know which direction? Now I'm gonna tease my mechanical engineers here. Anybody knows which direction air moves? From hot to cold or cold to hot?
Heat rises.
Well, heat does rise.
And cold air goes down.
That's right. So your hot air is going to travel to your cold space until they are equal temperature. It's trying to raise it up. So it's important that you seal your home. It is important that you keep your home sealed so that the elements are not constantly battling your heating and cooling system in your house all year round. So, just important. This is another example of how air moves through the house. So you said heat rises. We have something called the stacking effect. Most folks have a chimney in your house, right? If you have a furnace, there is a chimney. There's something that gets that exhaust to go up and out of your house, right? You don't want that in there. There's a purpose for that. It's exhausting the smoke, it is exhausting the emissions up out of your house. It also loses a lot of heat up the stack too. But that is what we call the stacking effect, right? Where we have this sort of vacuum effect where it's pulling air from the outside into the house and up and out that stack. We call this the stacking effect. It happens in the reverse in the summertime. That is typically what happens in the wintertime. So if you are walking around your house, you may feel air leaks. If you don't have an infrared camera, most of us do not. If you don't have one, the technicians come to your house and they set up something called a blower door test. That is this red canvas door over here. They have to walk around and seal everything up. They have to make sure all your windows are sealed. Make sure if you have a fireplace that all those ashes are cleared out, because when they turn the blower door on, it creates this little breeze. It's about 5 miles per hour. And if you have ash in your fireplace, and they turn that on, it will just cover everything in that beautiful, so clean your fireplace before they come. That is the story there. We actually had to do blower door testing. We were running some student tests. We were testing them this summer, and I said, okay, you can use my house. And then we realized I had cleaned out the fireplace fine, but I forgot to close the flue. So it's all right. Not too much damage before the instructor realized it. But when they come to do a blower door test, they're going to check for that too, right? So first, they're going to do the safety inspection of your house, make sure that everything is ready to go forward. They put up the blower door. They go around and make sure all exterior doors are closed, all exterior windows are closed and sealed. All interior doors are open, so there's nothing stopping the air movement from room to room. And then they turn this on and they run it. And what it does is it creates a vacuum effect. It pulls air from the outside in. So you can walk around with your hand and you can feel where your air leaks are in your house. They're not going to hide. Most of the time they come in with something like a little fire stick. It's called a smoke stick, sorry, I don't want to scare you. It's a smoke stick, right? Or they have a little tube of smoke that they puff, right? And so they'll walk around and they'll puff it to see where things are, where your air is moving, where it's coming into the house. They have a manometer on the door. A manometer is something that is measuring how much air is moving into the house. It's actually tracking how much air they're able to pull out through this fan. So as they pull air into the house, it measures how much is being pushed back out of here. And that's how we determine how much air loss you have in a house. We measure it in something called CFM, cubic feet per minute. The higher your CFM, the more air you are leaking in your house, which means probably the higher your bills are. More frequently you have to fill your oil tank, right? And ultimately what you want to do is stop that air movement or slow that air movement. So this is how they can determine how much air leak you have in your house. If you have a boiler system, this next part will not apply. If you have a furnace, forced hot air in your house, the next test they set up here is called a duct blaster test. So just like with the blower door, they seal everything on the outside. With a duct blaster, they have to close all your registers in your ducts in your house, right? Because we don't want to count how much air is coming out of the registers here. We want to know how much is getting lost along the line, right? The goal of HVAC is to get air from point A to point B and not lose anything in between. So that's what they're measuring for with a duct blaster. So same thing, they close all the registers off, they put it on to one of the handlers somewhere, they turn it on, and they force air through it, and they're trying to determine how much air is actually exiting at the other end, right? They hope that it's exactly the same as what they're putting in there. If it's not, we're losing some somewhere. And then they can go along and seal that up. So these are the big tests. They've got the safety inspection of your house, and then they run these two tests, a blower door. If you have ductwork, they do a duct blaster test. If you don't have ductwork, they will still check your heating appliances to make sure that they're running efficiently. So they'll check that out as well. So anybody who has ducts in their house, now when you build a new home, you have to run these tests every step along the way of building a new home. It does make sense, right? Before, when they were putting up houses, I live on Ranch Road, and there were probably some corners cut as they were building our house. But with sheet metal before, when they were putting in duct systems, it was how quickly can we get this system in there, installed, and onto the next one, right? Time is money, so put it in, get it in as quick as you can, and move along to the next house. The problem is they weren't sealed tight, right? Imagine, I know we had farmer Steve here a little while ago, imagine you're trying to water your plants, right? And you get your garden hose and you turn it on and you bring it over to your tomatoes and it's got a bunch of holes in it. You're not getting the water efficiently to your plants, right? It's leaking a lot. That's the same idea with ductwork, right? You want it to get all the air from point A to point B and you don't want to lose any along the way. These are real pictures. CMC Energy is one of the HES vendors in our state. These are real pictures of ducts in people's houses where we're just missing things, a whole area, right? So when they do their inspection, they say, okay, the manometer doesn't lie. It tells you how much air loss is happening, right, from the beginning to the end of the system. And then they can go back and say, okay, let's seal it up. So after they're done inspecting that, they'll come around, they'll tape up, they'll seal up whatever they can. And that is a huge energy saving right there. If you have ductwork, I highly encourage you to check out something called AeroSeal, which is a technology that they do incentivize here in Connecticut. It's moving over to a rebate program. But AeroSeal is something they can spray from the inside. They depressurize, they seal off the whole duct system in your house, they depressurize it and they shoot the stuff through. It's kind of like a hairspray. And then it sticks to the sides and it'll expand. And that's a great way to seal your ducts from the inside. And it's an organic material that they're using on the inside. Now, the downside to AeroSeal is if you have a hole bigger than 5/8 of an inch in diameter, kind of like those are that you see, then it's not going to be able to cover those, right? It can only do a little less than that. So that's where the taping comes in, some of the other air sealing that they can do in the house. This would be another example. So this is a chimney, and what you're seeing here is, I mean, if you were to go in my attic right now, you would find holes this big, I swear, coming up from our kitchen vent, where it just vents into the attic from the stove. It's wonderful. So if you have big air, like big holes in your walls, in your ceiling, you know, up in a closet, if you know you don't notice it, that's going to be a great way for air to travel throughout your house, and you don't want air to travel. If you're moving air around your house, you're not able to keep it comfortable and cool or warm, depending on the time of year, and you're just spending more money on your heating and cooling costs. That's ultimately it. So as technicians come to your house and they walk around and they test your health and safety, right? They test your ductwork, they test your building envelope to see how leaky it is. They're also going to walk around the inside and say, where is air moving through this house that we can stop? Right? That's what they're looking for. And then they can take steps to help you slow that down or seal it off. So a little fact about insulation. Now, before we had our energy, before we bought our house in October 2020, I went in and inspected everything, and then I evicted 3,000 mice and realized that my insulation was completely compromised, right? We had animals and friends living in there, which means they were going to the bathroom in there. In some places it was condensed, it was crushed. In other places it was wet. So we had to get rid of all of our insulation. It was compromised. Insulation works best when it is fluffy, when it is consistent, when it is flush across an area, right? You have it like consistently going along the wall, like what you see here in the picture on the left, right? It's relatively fluffy and consistent across. That's the best way I can say it. Insulation works best when it's continuous. Your air barrier works best in your house when it is continuous, right? So we went in and we had all new insulation done. So we got our energy audit, we paid our $50 copay. They went around and they did everything they could do. And then we said, okay, we need deeper measures for insulation. And they offer other rebates for it. So the weatherization energy audit is your gateway. And then it opens up all these other incentives that are available for you. If you want solar, you need to have the energy audit done. If you want incentives for heat pumps, you want them for insulation, you have to have the energy audit done first. And you want that done first. That's the inspection, the evaluation of your house. So we have our evaluation done. Sure, go ahead.
I'm wondering how frequently you need to have that audit. I had one like
You can
10
have it
years
every
ago.
3 years.
Okay, but if I wanted to do something going
It's
forward,
switched? 5?
Yes.
Oh,
They wouldn't mind.
okay.
is it good for 5 years forward though? If I get one this year, I can
You
keep
can do
doing
it again.
projects
Yep.
for the next few years?
Yeah, I'll have to check, but at last I checked, it was 3 years, but Hillary is
When I'm
correcting me.
much older than that.
Yes, and you want to do it because technology changes.
Yeah.
So before, you may have had it done and they would have put in CFLs, right? Switched out your incandescents with CFLs. And then in later years, they said, oh, no, we're gonna take those out, we'll put in LEDs. Now LEDs are so common in the market that they don't even have them in the program anymore. But they will do these water-saving fixtures. But so my story on insulation is we have our energy audit done, we realize our insulation is completely useless, so we take that out, they come in and inspect, they said, okay, here's the insulation you can get. It was gonna be about $4,000 worth of insulation, and we paid $400, and the rebates covered the rest. Now that was in 2020, rebates change every single year at December 31st, so if you're gonna get your energy audit done, get it done before the year ends, because typically your rebates are gonna be good for 3 months after you have that done. 2 things to think about. The other thing that it will open up doing the energy audit is that they'll check your appliances, right? So my refrigerator has duct tape in certain areas. I'm just waiting for, we're gonna have to get a whole kitchen done. So when that happens, I'm getting a really nice refrigerator. And you will guarantee that it will be Energy Star certified. Does anybody know what Energy Star certified means? Have you seen this before?
Yes.
I hope so. I hope it's on all of your televisions and your appliances now. This is an indicator that the appliance you're about to buy is going to use less energy than the majority of products on the market, right? So if you're going to buy a refrigerator and you buy one that is Energy Star certified, the chances are it uses less energy than 75% of the other appliances on the market. So it's hit a certain efficiency standard, right? And then they came out recently, this is a standard label that came out from the EPA. They came out with another one in recent years. It's called WaterSense. It does the same thing but for water fixtures. So your dishwasher, your toilet, believe it or not. You can even get some of your shower heads and faucets, your washer, water heaters. You can get some that are both. You get, like a dishwasher that's Energy Star certified and WaterSense certified, that's gonna save you energy and reduce the amount of water that it uses every time it runs, which is great. We don't really think about that too much in water because most of us in Woodbridge are on well water, right? So does anybody know how many gallons they use per year? No, because we're on well water. There's a few folks who I think have municipal water piped to their house, but for the most part, we don't really think about it. We didn't think about it this year because we had, 90 days of summer, and what did we have, 85 days of rain, right? But last summer, the folks on Ranch Road can attest to this, last summer, 90 days of summer, 2 days of rain. And the pond in front of our house was bone dry by July, and the river, the Wepperog River behind our house, was bone dry. Which means there's something going to happen below the surface, right? And all of our wells are down there. And so you gotta be really, really careful. So if you're not measuring how much water you use and how much water you have, you could run out. So I don't know what it's gonna do next summer or the summer after that. It seemed like this year we're sending all of our water to California and New Mexico and that area because they're totally out of drought. They've been in drought for 30 years, and if you look at the US Drought Monitor, they are completely out of drought conditions whatsoever. So we don't know what it's gonna do. We know that energy costs typically go up, right? So Energy Star kind of hedges you against that because you're gonna use appliances that use a lot less. WaterSense is the same thing. It's gonna use appliances that use a lot less water. You can also get incentives, so I said insulation and air sealing, WaterSense and appliances around your house. If you're looking at heat pumps, which is a great way to heat and cool your house, we're trying to decarbonize our house. We're trying to get rid of oil entirely. So when, another fun Ranch Road fact, when we were moving a bookshelf in the office of our house, we discovered mold. Okay, coming in from the bathroom next door. So of course we had a new bathroom renovation project happen immediately, because if there's mold, that's good. Coming from somewhere. So we had to renovate the whole thing. At the time we had it renovated, we said to the plumber, can you take out the baseboard heating? We're going to put in radiant floor heating. I don't want the water in there anymore. Not that I was concerned about that, but we're trying to bring our whole house over to run off of electricity. So that was intentional. So there's a heat pump right there. Our goal ultimately is to heat and cool with heat pumps later on down the road. Step by step, we're turning our house over that way. And then this is a heat pump water heater. So we also heat our water, our domestic hot water and our boiler system right now with oil. And so moving to a heat pump water heater, you can run that off of electricity as well. These are some of the rebates and incentives you can get for the deeper measures. So insulation per square foot, right now you can get up to $1.70 off per square foot. Sometimes a square foot is $2, sometimes it's $3, sometimes it's more. It depends on what type of insulation you're putting in your house. When we got ours in, we put in that the pink fiberglass in the ceiling of our basement, and then up in our attic we did fiberglass and blown-in cellulose. So I think we have about 16 inches, which is it's so pretty. If you ever want to come over and go see my insulation, I think it's really neat. And then other appliances. So if you're thinking about other appliances can get a $50 replacement rebate, which isn't huge, but it's something, right? So for your dishwasher, your washing machine, your air conditioning unit, sometimes you can get them. When the technicians go around your house, they're going to qualify all of your appliances to see how old they are and if they qualify for some of these other incentives. Okay? So there's a lot in there. Now there's also federal tax credits that just came out, and there's going to be a quiz on this at the end of the lecture, so I hope you know. I'm putting it up here just so you know that that there is a, sorry, I thought I had to go pick my daughter off the bus, that's normally what that sound means. So I'm putting this up there so you know that there's a great table on the federal website, the EPA website, where it tells you all of the incentives that you can get for renewable energy, for efficiency heating and cooling, and other appliances. And this changed recently, so now you can, some of them you see here, so heating equipment, air conditioners, water heating equipment, insulation materials, windows and skylights. Before, your rebate would cap out somewhere around like $250 or $500. Now it maxes out to $1,200 a year. Before it was like you could get one and then you were done. So we put in a couple new windows. Our rebate maxed out at, I don't know, $250. That's it, you could never do it again. But now you can. So you don't have to do everything all at once, right? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. As you decide with these projects you're going to do in your house, like with us, we're done with the insulation, we're done with the air sealing, but we're moving on to windows and heat pumps and efficient heating and water heating. So we have to stagger our projects, and by doing that, you can take advantage of some of the federal tax credits year after year. Okay, so some folks have a question about solar energy. So energy efficiency is your first goal, right? And that's because it drives your energy use down. How we determine what size array you need for your house, there's a few different factors involved, but ultimately you're trying to cover as much as your energy as possible, right? So the bigger the system is for the higher your energy uses, right? So you want to try to drive that energy use down as much as possible so that you don't have to get as many solar panels on your roof. My system, which I'll show you in a second, is, I don't know, 5 kilowatts. It's quite small considering the average system in Connecticut is between like 8 and 10 kilowatts. Ours is 5. And we have room to add more panels if we need to, but we also cover 100% of our energy. We are net zero when it comes to that. So your solar evaluation, solar panels get better every year, every 6 months, right? People say, why should I do it now? They're just going to keep getting better. I'll do it in a few years. Well, they say the same thing about laptops, right? Like every 3 months. It doesn't, just because they get better in 6 months doesn't mean it should stop you from getting them now, right? Everybody needs a laptop at some point in time. I'm not going to wait until the next version comes out. You've got to get what you need right now. So take advantage of the panels. The panels that they have out now are great. Are they going to improve in efficiency? Maybe like the slightest couple of watts here and there every year. The panels that they put out on like the Hubble spacecraft, they've been out there since what, like the 70s? Like the space station. And they're still producing energy, so they work, right? So there's great technology that's out there now. There are so many solar companies that are out in the state of Connecticut. Do your due diligence. You get no fewer than 3 quotes from 3 different companies. There are companies that have been out here in Connecticut since the start of the solar program, like Aegis Solar, Ross Solar. They've been out here. There's a company in Brantford. Connecticut Electrical Services, Bruce Angeleski, he's been out there for 20 years doing solar, and he's right up the road. He's small, he's in Beacon Falls, sorry. He's a smaller operation, but he's out there, right? We've got some companies who have been Connecticut grown in solar for 20, 25 years, and they do great work. All right, when they come to your house, they're gonna evaluate a few things. Your roof, how old is your roof? What is the structure like in your roof? If you live in an older house, you could have 2x6 rafters. That's not gonna hold up too much weight, right? And they've got to think about the snow load, which, up until a few years ago, we actually got snow in Connecticut. It was a problem, but now it's not really anymore. So they're checking the age of the roof, the strength of your roof, how many layers of shingles. If you're older than 15 years, if you have some smaller rafters in there, you got a couple layers of shingles, you're probably in the market for a new roof. Great time to put solar on your house is when you're getting a new roof, because they can integrate the whole installation together in one. The other thing they're going to look at is how much sun do you get, right? You can't generate solar electricity unless you have good sunlight. Shades not helping anybody in this case. So sometimes they put a little sun eye up there. They can check from online, like they can Google map your house, right? And do a little eagle eye and see what you have around there, if you have a lot of trees. But for the most part, the panels are pretty efficient, and they're going to put them where they produce energy. And there's a reason for that. Well, number one, you obviously have to produce energy, but you have to hit a certain threshold of how efficient your system is going to be in order to get incentives and rebates, right? So if they're going to put panels up on your house and you're only going to produce 50% of what those panels could do because of all the shading, and you got some wonky chimneys and some like bathroom vent pipes that are sticking out everywhere, that's not going to be a system that's going to get funding, right? So they want to make sure that they're putting it in the right spot. Maybe you don't want to put it on your roof. You can create a structure to put it on also if you have the room and the land. I've seen beautiful ground mounts. They have ground mounts that sit on a pole, and all the panels kind of sit there, and they follow the sun throughout the day, and they tilt based on what the sun's doing in the sky, depending on the time of year. In the wintertime, we have less sunlight hours, right? The sun is lower in the horizon, so we get less sunlight during the daytime. In the summertime, we get more sunlight hours, so your panels are going to produce a lot more the longer the day is out there, right? The more sunlight that's hitting them. So you can definitely, when they come to check your house, they're looking at how much you're going to produce throughout an entire year. They're not just looking at how much you're going to produce in December. They're looking at how much you're going to do over the entire year, and that's what this fun little thing is here, this solar eye that tells them that. But there's a whole other electronic one they can use. They don't need to use that anymore. They're also going to check your electrical service to make sure you actually have space for energy to come in. So anybody has a 100 amp panel in their house, you're going to upgrade to 100 amps, to 200 amps. If you have a 200 amp panel and you have a very big house with a pool and everything else on there, and your EV charging stations and whatnot, you may have to upgrade again. So just keep that in mind. They're going to check that out. And then they're also going to check your home energy usage. And they're going to make sure that you've had that energy audit done, because they can't move forward with it until you've had it. That is a law in Connecticut. I mention all of the reasons, all the things they're checking, because if you need some of those improvements, some of the loan mechanisms they have that they offer, you can roll those upgrades into it. So if you do need a new roof or you need a new electrical panel and you want like the Sun Gauge loan or the Smarty loan, you can put those improvements in your house in those loans also. That's my house, that's my array right there. That covers about 120% of our energy use.
And you said that's 5 kilowatts?
Yeah, it's about 5.5, yeah. I actually will pull up the proposal that they gave me if you want. Yep, so that's it. I mean, I hope my neighbors don't mind them. I think they look pretty.
I think they look pretty.
We could probably get about 8 more on there. I think we have the space in our inverter. So once we add the heat pumps to our system, to our house, and start shedding the oil, our energy usage will go up, and we'll be able to add a few more. And we net meter, right? So it goes out to the grid, probably to somebody else's house to use the energy if we're not home when we're producing energy, and then they just give us the credits on our bill. And it's like rollover minutes. Remember the rollover minutes of cell phones? So you generate 300 kilowatt hours this month, okay, but I only used 200 of them, the rest of them will roll over to the next month, and then the next month, and the next month, and that's good. Because by the time we get back down to December or November, when everybody's coming over for the holidays, and you got 1,000 holiday lights on, right, and the kids are watching TV all day long, and you've got the lights on at early hours, you use more energy in the winter months. So by rolling over those credits, you're able to spread them out throughout the rest of the year so you can take advantage of the solar that you produced earlier on. Like in the summer, when you were away on vacation, but your panels were producing for 10 hours a day or longer. I can't really see that well. Okay, what I was trying to show you is what's going on, how the rest of the installation went. So the panels were on the roof, and then as you come over to the left side of my house, there's a little conduit here where they string all the wires together. We're bringing all the energy down into a meter, which then goes into my basement. This is that side of my basement where it all comes in, right? This is our electrical panel that had to get upgraded. It was, I don't know, some crazy fuse box before. This is our battery. We don't lose power in Woodbridge. We don't lose power in Woodbridge. We get a notice when everybody else has lost power in Woodbridge, and it's like, you are now running on your battery. Okay. And then I run around and turn everything off. This is 13 kilowatt hours. That will get us through the night until the sun rises again. No battery is created equal. With the Tesla, once you run out of power, even if the sun comes up the next day, you can't just tap back into that. You gotta wait until that battery is charged again before it'll let you start using it again. Now the Generac battery is a little more forgiving, where you can actually use as soon as it starts to charge itself again. So batteries are not the same, and you wanna talk to somebody who knows the difference between the systems so that it's important for you, right? For us, okay, if we lose power, great, we like bring the kids outside and entertain them for a little while, or I don't know, we just, put them on our cell phone or something. For others who maybe have maybe you have to run a dialysis machine. You want to be able to use your power when it comes to you, right? So just talk to your installers about that, because you want to make sure that you're getting what is appropriate for your system. Now when we get more solar and we're going more all electric, we will get a second battery there. So that if we really do get into a situation where we are a fully electric house and we need to run all night long, we'll have enough power for it. All right, these are some solar purchasing options, so you can buy it. We chose to get the Sun Gauge loan. It was $1,000 down for our panel, or for our whole system. And then the rest of it, I think it costs us about $167 a month. And that's for the solar plus the panel. If we, the battery plus the solar. If we didn't get the battery, it probably would have been about $88 a month. But I wanted a battery, right?
For how long?
Huh?
For how long? Say a month.
Oh, okay, so for how long is my loan? We did the 15-year loan. You can do 5, 10, 15, 20. We did 15 because we were like, wow, who cares? Whatever, we'll just do that. There's something called a power purchase agreement. You could put solar on your roof, and you just pay for the power that it produces. But you do not own that system. You do not own that system. So you just think about that. Somebody else has the right to come on to your property, check your system, anytime they need to, right? It's their property. You are just buying the power from them. Some of those power purchase agreements have escalators. So it can be really good. A company can say, all right, I'm going to lock you in. I'm going to sell you my energy that I generate on your roof for 5 cents a kilowatt hour. Sounds great, right? But then the next year it's 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, right? Starts to go up. That's an escalator. And I'm just making those numbers up. I'm not saying that's an actual whatever a real company has done, but they can go up. So just be aware of that. The nice thing about a power purchase agreement is you don't own it. Something happens to it, somebody else's problem, they gotta fix it, right? With us, we own our system. Tree falls, actually a tree really did fall at my house the other day, didn't even have the decency to land in my kitchen. It's like, okay. But if a tree falls and hits my system, I have to go through the whole homeowner's insurance thing, just like if a tree falls and landed through my roof, right? But you make sure that your homeowner's insurance knows that your solar is on there, it covers it. The other nice thing about owning your system is you get that 30% federal tax credit. So yes, We bought an array and it was, I don't know, $32,000. I can't remember the number, I'll pull it up in a second. But we got back, at the time the federal tax credit was a little less, it was 26%. So we got back about $8,000 that year that they installed it. On our taxes, we could write that off. And we got that dollar for dollar tax credit back, which was great. Solar is tax exempt, any of the equipment is tax exempt, so they will not charge you tax on it when you are getting that, that's important to know. The average cost is, they do a per watt cost, it's really around $4 or $5, right? Oh my gosh, when we started, when I started in solar way back when, it was like $18 a watt. So I have a 5 kilowatt system, that's 5,000 watts, right? If I'm paying $4 a watt, back to math class, right? On a 5,000 watt system, how much did we pay? Anybody? 4 times 5,000. Come on, Amity. Somebody knows the number.
20.
There we go, 20, right? So if you need 10 kilowatts or 10,000 watts of energy to cover all of your power, you will pay double that amount, right? Friends of ours are getting a 12 kilowatt system. That's ridiculous, but that's what they're doing. So it is based on how much energy you use. Get the energy audit done first. Drive your energy down first. Okay, so also I just want to say the Sustainability Committee, you met our chairs. Here's their contact information. They're happy to send the slide deck out if anybody needs it. We will be starting hopefully a Heat Smart campaign with whoever our next selectman team is. The Heat Smart campaign is going to be kind of like the Solarize campaign, where we all buy heat pumps at the same time and it drives down the cost, and so we're sort of aggregating all of that purchasing power, leveraging our purchasing power together. All right, so that's everything that I wanted to show you on there. I'm not going to make you watch a video, but if you want to see an audit in action, they have them online. If you're going to go sign up online, you can go to Energize CT. That's where all of our energy programs for the state of Connecticut live. This is run by UI and Eversource, so you can sign right up for any of the home energy solutions programs. There's the phone number right here. If you want to find out about the income eligible program, there is an income eligible program, which means it'll waive that copay, and it will also give you some of those deeper measures, insulation, for less money or nothing at all. So if you qualify for the income eligible one, I'll show you what those qualifications are. Just real quick, if anybody's interested, you may want to just let a friend know. If you meet 60% of the state median income level or below, you qualify for the income eligible program, okay? And that's not based on assets, that's based on how much you have coming in. We have the tax credit form, which we can send around to folks if you're really interested in that. You want to learn about solar, you can always go to the Connecticut Green Bank and find out on their website about where to go, different contractors that are available, the Smarty Loan. They talk about all of that wonderful stuff. SunGauge, that's who we went through for our solar loan, and I've been very happy with them. What they did with the SunGauge to keep the rates really low is that federal tax credit. They finance that amount at 0%, and when you get your federal tax credit, then you pay that towards them, so it takes it off of the cost of the system, because we have a loan. All right? We'll send all these links out also. If you want to know about companies who can do energy efficiency and solar, these are a few that I do know. I know the quality of their work. I'm not endorsing them on behalf of anybody, but I'm letting you know that they have been around for a long time. So I said before, if you're going to get a quote on something, get a few of them. Earthlight definitely does that. Aegis, Chris Landa, he's been one of the long-standing solar companies in the state of Connecticut. There's Bruce, he's our buddy up in Beacon Falls. He's done a lot of work with solar. Con Ed, these guys, we call them Con Ed Solutions. They're the Ross Solar family. Jason and Josh Ross. They've been in solar since basically day one. They're out in the Danbury area. Yeah, that's, let me see. I did mention, so we had Con Edison do our solar, And that's because my brother-in-law works for them, and as I was saying, keep it in the family, get that family discount right where you can. No. So, we went with Con Edison. We've been very happy with them. We got our battery before anybody else. This was as you see, this was our proposal that we got for our system. So it was back in 2021, early 2021. You can see here the federal tax credit was 26%. Now it's up to 30%, so you get even more. But yeah, I was pretty close, right? I said what, 32,000 post rebate. We had a $2,100 rebate from the state, from Connecticut, the Green Bank. And that was it. So they expected that our average electrical bill after going solar would be about $13 a month. Truth of the matter is it's $12 a month because that's the connection fee you have with UI, and we have not had an energy bill since. Yeah, so it's been a good experience for us. And I have 2 little munchkins running around, just turning everything on. So, all right, I think I have about 10 minutes for questions. If anybody has any questions? It's a long lecture. Sorry, it's very hot in here. I feel like I'm melting. Yes, sir. The gentleman from Bethany in the back.
I have a question about energy solutions.
Yeah.
I was told by somebody who actually works for one of those companies that after the first one, that's where you get the best return. The second one a little bit more, and after that, they basically don't get you anything. In terms of getting rebates, do you just have to get it, sort of go through the motions, or how does that work?
Yeah, so the rebates change every year. So if you're doing it because, like we just had our insulation done a couple years ago, I'm not gonna have the HES done because I'm looking for an insulation rebate. I already had that done. If I have HES done again, after whatever the required duration is, then it's for whatever the new technology is that I want in the house, right?
Is there a way to do it not through?
Yeah, you can do energy audits not through Energize Connecticut. You don't have to do the state's program. They have other, companies who are part of the state's program also can do it independently of Energize CT if you want. Absolutely. I encourage you to go through the state program because they have vetted those folks.
And that makes you eligible for rebates when it's not through the state or not?
No, to get the incentives through the Energize Connecticut program, you have to use the vendors that they've qualified. Same thing for heat pumps. You've got to go to the HPIN, the heat pump installer network, heat pump professional installer network. Those are the folks that you want. They've been qualified by the state to install heat pumps. They have the universal cooling or refrigerant license. They have met whatever requirements they need. Electricians can put in heat pumps, plumbers can put in heat pumps, HVAC companies can put in heat pumps, a combination of those folks, as long as they have the right licenses on board. An E1, universal heating, whatever the plumbing one, I think a P1. Yeah. Oh, no, that's not a question. Wednesday does not have a question. Yes.
I know you said there's going to be a heat pump program, but can you preview for us, if we're interested in this, should we wait for this program?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Wait for the program. Get the energy audit done,
Right?
right? Because
Before
Yes.
December 31st, you said?
yeah, always recommend doing it before the turn of the year because typically things are good and they're not going to get better. They're going to they keep going down a little bit, right? They're trying to make it a more efficient program. The idea is that they invest in the technology up front, higher levels, and then they start to bring those incentives down as the market starts to adopt it a lot faster. So the incentives are going to be as good as they are right now.
And then you said 3 months for if we're going to do insulation as a first step.
Yeah.
The audit is good for 3 months.
The rebates,
Yeah.
3 months or 6 months, I can't remember what it is, but you can always ask the utility company to extend it for you or something. But yeah, I cannot tell you enough good things about the installation.
And then the heat pump kind of thing, I was looking into it a little bit. Are we like air-based heat pump or ground-based heat pump?
So we're actually,
Here?
so there is an organization that is the heat pump educators, and they're gonna come to town and do a whole education, a whole lecture for us on heat pumps. I don't wanna steal all their information. But heat pumps can be a few different things, right? We can have ground source heat pumps, which is called geothermal heat pumps, right? Geothermal can be the wells that they drill down, And then they run water up and through, and they run it through a system that heats and cools your house. You can also do air source heat pumps. You can do those through geothermal, maybe doing it on like a horizontal track where it's an air exchange as opposed to thermal exchange through water. And then you can do air source heat pumps, which are typically above ground, right? Because they're transferring the air from the outside in and exchanging thermal energy that way. Do we have any heat pumps in here? Let's see any. I feel like there's got to be some around town. But yeah, anybody have heat pumps? Yes, you do. What kind of heat pumps, sir?
Here.
Air source, okay. Okay, you can have ducted, you can have ductless. There are really cool heat pump systems that are like, you have a picture on the wall, and when you want to cool your room down, it's just like, I'm sorry for the library, I don't want to get in trouble here. It'll just like move a little bit off the wall, and it releases the air into the room. It's like super fancy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, super fancy. There's all types of heat pump installers that are out there and heat pump manufacturers that are out there. But just like with solar, you want to get a couple of quotes because you want to make sure you're getting a system that's right for you. Same thing with heat pumps. Get a couple quotes because you want to make sure that you're getting what you want. And there's a variety of manufacturers and they all don't install the same thing, right? So make sure, and I will volunteer if anybody gets a proposal, I'm happy to go over it with you. A 1 hour limit per friend. That's it. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So for those of us who have boilers, what's the future of that? I mean, I'd love to get off oil, but, you know, I have boilers, so and I've got lots of zones, which is very good, so I only heat the part of the house that I need to heat at any given time, but, there's no way to get away from burning oil or gas to heat that water, is there?
You can do a heat pump water heater.
Are they doing that?
Yes.
So you can keep radiators in the house?
Yeah. Yeah, heat pump water heater, yeah. Actually, CMC Energy, who's one of the companies, they have a great HVAC expert, this gentleman named Tim Fabian, and he can answer these questions inside and out. But yeah, we were looking at doing that for our system because we're set up similarly, where we have baseboard heating and a boiler, that's the heating system in our house. And I don't want to be using oil anymore. I want to just produce the energy that's going to heat and cool my house. So that's our plan.
To continue to do hot water heating?
Yeah, through a heat pump water heater. Yeah, you can connect it to your domestic hot water and to your boiler distribution system. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? All right.
This was great, thank you so much.
Good luck. I can feel immediately that we need to do some of that. That's right.
Thank you.
If everyone on your way out, we are running our winter wear free cycle. If you want to check out for any coats, mittens, hats you might need for you or any family members, feel free to take as much as you want.
Thank you.
So high, I'm hypnotized.